On this show of the ZTV Sports Report, we'll catch you up on all of the latest Akron Zips athletics.
We will also have highlights from some of the men's and women's basketball games as well.
Stay tuned because the ZTV Sports Report starts now. Welcome to the 2019 spring semester of the ZTV Sports Report, your home for everything Akron Zips athletics. I'm Tyler Gunter. I'm excited to welcome on my new co-host for this semester, Colin Brennan. Colin, now that you're spending time in front of the camera, what are some things that you're really excited to talk about for this semester?
Well, I have to be excited about the men's basketball team. They have the potential, I think, to get to the MAC tournament and possibly into the NCAA tournament if things go correctly for them.
I'm also really excited to watch the men's basketball team. It looks like the MAC East is going to be a really competitive division, so the second half of the season should be really exciting.
Well, we've missed a lot since we've been gone, so let's catch up on the men's basketball team.
On December 18th against Tennessee State, senior guard Jamon Ivey reached 1,000 career points scored, becoming one of only 44 other Akron men's Zips basketball players to reach this incredible milestone. The Akron Zips won that game by a final of 82-60, and Ivey finished that game with 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists.
It is.
Finds the bottom of the net.
1,000 career points for Jamon Ivey, who has had a stellar career.
The Zips then traveled to Reno, Nevada to take on the Wolfpack. They kept the game close, but ultimately lost to the number 6 ranked team in the nation, 68-62.
On January 5th, the men's team opened up Mid-American Conference play against Western Michigan, defeating them in a low-scoring game by a total of 56-48.
On January 22nd, the Zips returned home to play Central Michigan for the second time this season. They lost their first matchup 88-86 in overtime. Here with the highlights from this game is Jemiah Kyle.
On January 22nd, the Akron Zips pulled off a victorious win on a very intense and battling night against Central Michigan. Sophomore Jackson came out of the gate and set the tone for both ends of the floor, specifically defense, which was key to this game in particular. The Akron Zips defense, specifically the big men, did an excellent job by protecting the paint inside and out, which made a big difference throughout this whole game. The Akron Zips gave Central Michigan a very tough time of scoring. Central Michigan has always had a favor of scoring inside the paint, which made it harder for them due to Akron bigs. Central Michigan held Akron to 12 for 32 field goals and 2 for 15 three-pointers. Akron held Central Michigan to 7 for 29 field goals and 3 for 10 three-pointers. Both teams had a shaky first half, and both teams also held one another under 30 points in this particular first half. As the clock is winding down, senior guard Jamon Ivey scored a fadeaway jump shot, which was key before it ended this first half. In the second half, the Zips came out and attacked the offensive basket, along with some major help from senior guard Jamon Ivey and junior guard Tyler Cheese, who led in both points and rebounds. Here is an excellent shot of how the Zips play as a team on defense and offense up and down the court. But this did not stop Central Michigan from scoring in the second half. Both teams attacked the offensive basket hard, looking for fouls to give, but once again, this did not stop the Akron Zips defense. With 14.7 seconds left on the clock, Central Michigan guard number 23 Morgan scored a three-pointer, which put them to 62-65, Zips up. Central Michigan then played full court defense, which put the Zips at the line each and every time. Central Michigan held Akron to 12 for 32 field goals and 2 for 15 three-pointers. Akron held Central Michigan to 7 for 29 field goals. In due time, the key to this game came down to major free throws by Jackson and Cheese. Also, harder defense, both quarters, as followed by what Coach Gross has to say in his players.
Getting to the free throw line, certainly taking better care of the basketball in the second half, I thought was a reason why we were able to eke it out and pull it out. Give Central credit. I mean, Austin makes a three there, makes all of his free throws late. Morgan hit one over Utomi's outstretched arm in the right corner, late game there. And then he made one from downtown Akron, somewhere off King James Way, I think, on the last one. And give them credit. They kept fighting and kept punching. We made just enough plays, just enough free throws. Thought that our rebounding with React and Cheese was key. Thought that Cheese was terrific during the game at both ends of the floor. Got his hands on a lot of balls defensively from a deflection standpoint. Made a real smart play there at the end on the missed free throw that slowed down their thrust, that would have given them a chance to get maybe a better 3 off. Obviously 12 rebounds for a guard, 3 offensive, 9 defensive. And then his efficiency from the field and just his poise in those situations late in the game, I thought were really key for us. But, we put a lot of pressure on our defense. We've got to shoot the ball better than we're shooting it right now. We've got to find ways to generate better shots for our guys. So really everybody has to contribute in that area, staff and players. But a good win for us.
That was a great win for the Zips, allowing them to stay undefeated at home in conference play.
The Zips would continue their homestand against Northern Illinois on January 26. This was a revenge game for the Zips as they lost their last matchup to the Huskies. Here with the highlights is Tyler Gunter.
The Northern Illinois Huskies came into Akron to face the Zips for the second time in just 14 days. The Zips were looking to get revenge after losing a hard-fought game to the Northern Illinois Huskies just a week and a half before. In the first few possessions of the game for NIU, Akron had quite a few turnovers that they were able to score off of. In the Huskies' first 3 possessions, they had 2 turnovers and a missed 3-point shot. However, after that, they turned it on and then started to play really well for the rest of the first half. Even the 6'10" center number 10 Deng Riak was able to drain this open 3, leaving NIU head coach Mark Montgomery wondering, how in the world did that big man just drain a 3 right in our face? Luckily for Coach Montgomery, his team was able to follow up Akron's 3 with a 3-point shot of their own coming from the corner. Akron, normally a great 3-point shooting team, missed quite a few open looks from beyond the arc to start the game. They would end up shooting 4 for 15 from 3-point land in the first half, even though they had many open looks. Normally you give Akron that many open shots, they will make you pay, especially at home, but for some reason today, they were just offbeat. It was not clicking. And while Akron kept missing, the Huskies just kept hitting. In the first half alone, the Huskies shot 40% from beyond the 3-point line. They shot 43% in field goals. Late in the first half, Lauren Christian Jackson decided to take the game into his own hands. He put this shot up and got it down with the and one to help put Akron back into this game. On the very next possession, Jackson tried to do the same thing, but this time with a 3, but he was unable to get the same outcome as before. Akron slowed it down a bit and showed great patience with this next play, ending with this ferocious dunk from Emmanuel Ojepoki. This topped off a 10-0 run from Akron to put the game tied at 24 with just a couple minutes remaining in the first half. NIU big guy number 11 tried to go ahead and take this one to the house on this inbound pass, but got called for traveling, while his teammate couldn't believe he didn't pass it off to him for a wide open 3-point shot. At halftime, the score was NIU 28, Akron 24. Akron made only 7 of 27 field goal attempts in the first 20 minutes of the game. The second half of the game was completely different than the first half, as both teams scored nearly twice as much. Akron went from shooting a combined 26% in the first half to a combined 47% in the second half. They had flipped the switch. Nothing better than watching the entire bench of the opposing team stand up for a 3-point shot that doesn't go in. Sit down, fellas. Akron was finally able to shoot again. They made 10 of 20 3-point shots in the second half to help give them the lead, which they hadn't had since the first 2 minutes of the game. The Huskies ended up shooting worse in the second half than they did in the first half. Maybe it's just that end of the court. Whatever team's shooting down there can't make a bucket to save their life. Either way, this doesn't take away from the fact that Akron came out on fire in the second half, helping them win the game by a final score of 67-65. Along with a special guest, here's Coach Gross to talk about the game.
In the first half, we shot 26% from the field. I thought we got good shots. We didn't make shots, but I thought our defense, our rebounding, our toughness, our taking care of the ball in the first half allowed us to hang around to where finally in the second half we were able to get it clicking at both ends of the floor and play probably as good a half as we've played maybe all year. You know, in the second half, they're going 10 for 20 from three. I thought we got contributions from a lot of guys. And I know the stat sheet shows they had 37, but it seems like 2 games in a row I've referenced King James Way. I think German made a couple once again from King James Way there late in the game, or they'd have been around 30 both halves. And I was pleased with that, especially from such an offensively explosive team as Northern is. So get a break here, a few days off, sprinkled in with some improvement. We got to improve some of our execution, get mentally and physically refreshed, and then get ready to head to Athens on Friday. 1, 2.
Go Zips!
Go Zips! There we go. I think you did great.
We're going to go ahead and take our first break.
But when we return, we'll have more on the men's basketball team. The Zips then traveled to Toledo to take on the Rockets, but lost the game. They now shift their attention to their rival Kent State.
Akron then hosted their rivals, Kent State, on February 8th, and Colin Brennan has all the game highlights.
It was game day for the Zips, and it would be a battle of rivals and styles as Akron comes into the game with the 14th ranked defense in the nation, and that defense would be tested by max leading scorer Kent State's Jalen Walker. The atmosphere inside the jar set the tone for the crosstown rival matchup between the Zips and the Flashes. Kent State opens up the game with a finish out of the post by Philip Winnington. But the Zips answer right back with their own big man as Riak turns over his left shoulder for the right-handed hook. Jalen Walker does what he does best, getting the isolation as he drives left, then hop steps into a jumper and he knocks it down. Tyler Cheese would then give the skip pass to an open Daniel Utomi in the corner and he drills it for 3. Jalen Walker would continue his hot start by once again getting the isolation, giving Channel Banks a double crossover, giving him space to hit another jumper. However, going to the well too many times, Jalen sees a mismatch with Jackson, but he pokes the ball loose for Jamon to come with the help side defense as he scoops the ball up and he throws it down, giving the Zips the lead. But that lead was quickly erased as Jalen once again gets into his bag with the in-and-out dribble followed by the spin to split the defenders and finish with the floater. The Flashes would go on a bit of a run with a nice pass from Wilkins to a cutting Gouling for the up and under. The senior Jamond Ivey answers back, getting to his right hand, and he finishes through the contact for the layup and the foul. And Tyler Cheese would follow suit, getting the steal on one end and racing to the basket only to Euro step and finishes his own layup through contact. He would see his chance to score again as Jackson on the drive gives a nifty wraparound pass to Cheese and he buries it from the wing. Antonio Williams would end the Flash's quick drought, challenging Ivey at the rim, and he finishes the layup followed by the free throw. However, Ivey once again gets in transition and he knows what to do with it, getting past the defender and finishes again at the rim. In a tightly contested half, Daniel Utomi uses the step back to drain the 3 before the buzzer and gives the Zips a 31-30 lead at the half. Starting off the new half, the Flashes once again find Whittington on the block and he finishes again over Riak. This time it's Utomi on Jalen, but he drives into his chest and uses the floater to score once again. Point guard Jalen Avery would pile up the lead on the Zips as he hits the 3-pointer for the Flashes. But once again, the Zips find their offense through Cheese as he cuts baseline for the reverse. Continuing the back and forth, Antonio Williams jumps and hangs in the air to hit the jumper over 2 Zips. Off the missed shot by Banks, Emmanuel Olajupoki gets the offensive rebound and finishes, getting the crowd on their feet. And again, Jackson splits through 2 defenders, getting the contact and finishes the tough shot for back-to-back 3-point plays for the Zips. And Jackson would continue his second half, receiving the pass from Jamon and he hits a 3. But then in transition, he immediately follows it up with another 3 as the jar explodes. CJ Williamson ends the drought momentarily for Kent as he banks it off the glass. But the Zips could not be stopped, and Cheese finds Jackson, who makes the extra pass to Jamon in the corner, and he buries a 3. Off a poorly executed out-of-bounds play, the Zips find themselves in transition and Tyler Cheese slams it home with 2 hands. Daniel Utomi RSVPs his invite to the 3-point party, knocking down his 4th 3 of the game. Beautiful ball movement by a driving Jackson finds Cheese in the corner, who passes it one more time to Channel Banks and he knocks it down for his first 3 of the game. Avery would answer back with a 3 of his own, but the damage has been done and Jackson is hot. He uses the high screen to get into the paint and finishes with the offhand over 2 defenders. and the ball would be in his hands again, putting the game to bed with another 3, ending the game with 18 points, all scored in the second half. The Zips would take round 1 against Kent State 72-53, and their attention now turns to nationally ranked Buffalo. We're ready to take our final break of the show.
When we come back, we're going to have all the latest from the women's basketball team.
Welcome back to the show. On January 5th, the Zips women's team opened up conference play against the Chippewas of Central Michigan.
Despite having a very strong lead in the first 10 minutes of the game, the Zips would go on to lose by a final score of 94-71.
It wouldn't take the women long, however, to get their first win in MAC play. They defeated Western Michigan with a score of 72-59.
Megan Stefsick recorded her first career double-double at this game and was also the leading scorer with 15 points. After this win, the Zips improved their record to 10-3.
After defeating Western Michigan, the Zips then beat the Falcons of Bowling Green, but then lost 3 straight games after that. On January 26th, though, they played Toledo. Here with the package is Lily Cox.
On January 26th, Akron's women's team played against Toledo. The Zips came into the match 11-6 on the season and Toledo 12-5. To start the game, the Rockets got possession of the ball and also scored the first point of the game at the free throw line after being fouled. Akron then got possession of the ball and ran a play that allowed number 33 to be wide open to give Akron their first 2 points. Throughout the whole game, there were 12 three-point shots. Akron made 9 of the 12. Toledo's average for making three-point shots throughout the game was 25%, and the Zips' average was about 48%. The Zips' number 12, Harmon, is leading in three-point shots, averaging about 52%, making 14 of the 27 shots. But Megan Stefsick has taken the most three-point shots, 56 out of 179. Akron's average for three-point shooting is about 35%. Number 11, Megan Stefsick, was on fire with shooting. She made 3 three-point shots throughout the game. 2 of them were back-to-back. Both teams seemed to be playing with Butterfingers and was just not ready for the ball when it was passed to them. Just in the first half, there were 7 turnovers between the two teams. The Zips had 22 turnovers, and Toledo scored 21 points with those turnovers. The Rockets had 19 turnovers, and Akron scored 9 points with those turnovers. Megan Stefsick has the most turnovers in the Zips season with 48, and Akron altogether has 293. Toledo did snag more turnovers than Akron, helping them score more points in the first half over the Zips. The score finishing the first half was 29-21 Rockets. The Rockets' number 3, Mariella Santucci, had 8 turnovers out of the 19 that the team had altogether. During halftime, Akron cheerleaders and Zippy came out to show support to the younger disabled Spartan cheerleaders that were there to support on Akron. The second half started as a series of fouls from both teams that seemed to create a pattern for the rest of the second half. Haley Raynell, this game had 12 rebounds, and altogether this season has 144. As Akron was running this play, Caitlin Berry was left wide open behind the free throw line, sinking the shot. The halftime seemed to benefit the Zips as their defense progressively improved through the second half, aiding their already strong offense. The Akron bench remains active during the game. Toledo kept missing threes, and Akron's defense was aggressive with blocking the ball, giving them back possession to make a play. This play, led by the Rockets, left Nakia Black wide open behind the arch, making a good three-point field goal, causing Toledo to extend its lead 4 points over Akron. Akron managed to tie the game, forcing it to go into 5 minutes of overtime. During tip-off, Caitlin Berry hit the ball twice, automatically giving the ball to Toledo. Both teams started the overtime strong. Megan Stefsick kept making basket after basket to rack up points for Akron. In the last 2 minutes of the game, Shanae Edmonds was fouled and missed both of her free throw shots. The last 30 seconds of overtime was jam-packed with both teams scoring and fouling. Toledo ended up with 6 points and Akron with 7. If Akron did not keep up the pace with the Rockets, then the Zips would not have ended up winning 70-64. The Zips then traveled to Kent State to face their rivals, losing 58-73.
That game left the women's team with a 12-6 record on the season currently. However, before this show comes to a close, let's go ahead and focus on the women's next game on February 20th against Eastern Michigan. Colin, what are some key things that we should be looking for in this matchup?
Well, Tyler, it definitely starts and ends with Megan Stefsik. She's the leading scorer on this team and 5th in the MAC at 17-1. And last game, she had 20 points against Eastern Michigan, and she just simply has to do more. Haley Reinl is the X factor. She averages 11 and 8 in MAC play, and the Zips need her ability of scoring inside and out in order to get their inside and out game going strong. Whoever controls the ball controls the game. Eastern Michigan had 21 points off turnovers to just 12 for Akron in the last matchup. Eastern Michigan and Akron have similar turnover numbers, but EMU is dead last in the Mid-American Conference in assist to turnover ratio.
That's all the time we have this week. Make sure to follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at ZTV Sports Report.
And as always,
Go Zips!
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. To find out how you can make Emmy-winning media, visit the UA School of Communication online. ZTV. Make media. Make a difference.